Hello everyone, my name is Stanley St. Rose, and today we're going to be talking about the Ransom of Red Chief. Now, before I go into summary analysis of this work, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and or comment so that the channel can continue to grow. Now, the Ransom of Red Chief is very interesting. What basically, we get within this work, we get these two robbers by the name of Bill and Sam. They call each other Bill and Sam. So they pretty much plan out a kidnapping, and they're gonna go to this town in Alabama, and they're going to kidnap this rich man's kid, or this man that has some money. This is not a very, crazy rich luxurious town. It's just that these robbers, they want money. They want to kidnap this kid and get $2,000. And they make this plan where they're gonna grab this rich man's kid, or this wealthy enough man's kid. They're gonna take him to this mountain that's 2 miles away from the town of Summit Town, or they call this place Summit. It's somewhere in Alabama, as we're told within the short story. So Bill and Sam, they have this mountain that's like 2 miles away. There's a cave within the mountain, and basically they have some supplies there. Food, things to bedding to sleep. Things to lay on the ground and sleep. And they make up this plan where they're gonna kidnap this man's kid, bring him to the mountain, and then send the man a letter. Send this man a letter for $2,000. And so they make this plan in their head, and they start to plan it out so that it can happen. They do kidnap the kid. They drive up to the house. The kid was like throwing rocks at some cat, and they're like, "Kid, we have candy. Do you want candy?" And the kid's like, "Yeah, sure, I want some candy. I'll take some candy." And they grab the kid. The kid gives up a good fight, a good strong fight. But they grab the kid. They push him down, and they go to the mountain. They hide the car. They bring back the car to where they got it. They go to the mountain, and they have the kid in the mountain, in the cave, and pretty much the next step is to write the letter to the father so they can get their money. Now, here's where the story becomes something that you really just don't expect. It gets really bad because the ransom of Red Chief, the kid is actually the Red Chief. This kid, we pretty much call him the Red Chief throughout the short story. We know that his father is Ebenezer Dorset. That's the name of his father, Ebenezer Dorset. I mean, Sam, he's kind of like the mastermind, the leader of this. He's more smarter than Bill. Bill's like the fat. Well, that's what That's just what how they describe him within the short story. Sam says that he's a fat guy. He's not the most confident individual, but he's just this big loof that Sam is partnered with. Sam's more like the smart guy, the mastermind behind the whole ordeal. And Pretty much he writes to Mr. Dorset. He tells him, "We got your kid. If you don't deliver this money to us in this way, you're never going to see your kid again." And Mr. Dorset writes back to him and says, "My kid, you can give him back to me. I'll take him off your hand for $250." So this is very funny. They write, to this father. They're like, "Hey, we got your son, your only son. If you don't give us $2,000, we're gonna keep him forever. You're never gonna see him again." And the father writes back to these criminals and says, "If you don't, if you want, I can take my son back from you for $250." Now, the reason why the father says this is because the son is horrible. He is a horrible kid. He is overwhelming. He is tough. He is rough. He's playing with the guys. He takes a knife and tries to harm Bill with the knife. The kid is just brutal. He rides Bill like a horse. He plays Indians with Bill and rides him like a horse for 90 miles. He tortures them. He annoys them. He bullies them. He terrorizes them in their sleep. Sam even has a dream where he's chained up to a tree and this red-haired pirate is torturing him. So Sam and Bill, they're the one being tortured by this Red Chief. The kid is like, he has freckles and he has red hair, and he's just devilish. He's just horrible. You can't control him. He's tough. He's rough, And the guys, these criminals, they're more terrorized of the kid than the kid is terrorized of them. And the kid actually, he doesn't want to leave. Bill even sends him home throughout within the short story and tells him, "Go home. We don't want you anymore. This is just way too hard. We're not gonna worry for the ransom." And the kid comes back to the mountain and into the cave to Bill and Sam. It's just so crazy, to the point where these two men, they're being tortured by this kid that they've kidnapped. And so ultimately, they're so fed up, they're so tortured, it's so horrible for them that yeah, the Sam and Bill, they bring back the kid to their father, and they pay the father $250 to take his kid back. It's very funny. And throughout the short story, what's very interesting to take in is that at first it was $2,000 that they were waiting for the ransom. Then it dropped down to 1,500. And then Bill was like, "Man, I would take 1,000." So because the kid was so horrible to them, and they were so terrified of the kid, and they even think that the kid was probably capable of killing them, to the point where, first they wanted 2,000, then it dropped down to 1,500, 1,500, and then it dropped down to well, they didn't ask for 1,000, but Bill wanted even 1,000 for the kid, because he was just sick and tired of this kid. This kid was just a devil. That's what the kid was. And so they give back the kid. They paid the 250. So it's Ebenezer Dorset. He's actually the person who gets the ransom. He ransoms these criminals. He's like, "Yeah, I'll take them off your hand if you pay me." So it's really funny the way that this story ends. And Bill and Sam, at the end of the story, they just run away because they want no more of this kid. They're terrorized by this kid, and the story ends like that. So it's a very interesting story. It's a very simple plot. Criminals kind of getting a lesson, and taking people's kids, and doing things that, well, that's just they shouldn't have done. And the story really ends in a place where you can say that, well, it ends in a place where the criminals get a lesson. They definitely get a lesson that, well, that they were looking for. And in terms of deeper meaning, in terms of analysis here, one thing that we can take from this short story is that we can say that the things that they were planning, you can think of things one way, you can plan things one way, but they just don't end up the way you wanted them to end up. The way that you want things to end up, sometimes it just doesn't end up that way. The way you want things to work out, sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. I think these criminals are really not that capable. They're really not good criminals. They can't even control a 10-year-old kid. And so that shows you their incompetence. And this is actually very funny. It's very funny how the tables get turned on them. And also, when we look at the title, The Ransom of Red Chief, it's not the criminals ransoming the Red Chief. It's the Red Chief that's ransoming the criminals. So the Red Chief is in charge here. He's the one that's shaking down, breaking down, and torturing the criminals, and it's his ransom. Because if they didn't pay, his father to take him back, these two individuals would have been tortured by this 10-year-old kid. So the ways that this story flips the idea on itself is very interesting, because the criminals were thinking one thing, and they didn't know that this kid was so over the top, overbearing, just overwhelming, and just really horrible towards them. And in the end, they just end up running away from Sam and Bill. So it's also very interesting. The other thing to take note here, well, yes, the incompetence of Bill and Sam, and committing a robbery, committing a ransom, committing a kidnapping. The other thing to take note is the father, Ebenezer Dorset. He knows exactly what his kid is. He knows how horrible he is. He knows how devilish he is. And he just calmly said, "Hey, listen, I'll take my kid back if you pay me, because I know how horrible this kid is, and I'm not really worried about it." So the father knows exactly what he's raising, and he profits off of this situation. So very interesting short story, very funny short story. So that's all I had to say about this. Please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and or comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video.